Mass. What could that be about? Well, we are about to see with the IMDb plot. Inspired by real events, the Black Mass is set over a 24-hour period in Florida during the winter of 1978 when college girls were being stalked by a serial killer. Alright, horror written all over this, but it's going to be familiar horror, sort of. Before I get too far into that, I'll state at the top that I got to see this courtesy of the Popcorn Frights Film Festival down in Fort Lauderdale. So thank you for them for allowing me to watch this film. And this is also the feature film directing debut of Devanny Pinn. Horror fans very familiar with her. She's been in numerous horror movies. But this time she is behind the camera in directing this film. Also should be stated that the festival has a New Nightmare Award, which goes to a first-time director, filmmaker. And like I said, she's been an actress in many a film, but this is the first time she's been behind the camera. So she was eligible for this award and won the award at the festival. So congratulations to her. Certainly a fan of hers. So congratulations on that. So if that's going to tell you anything about this film and the quality of it, hopefully it does. This film was also shown recently at Fright Fest as well, and I believe it will be shown at a few more festivals at least, and horror fans will definitely probably get to catch it hopefully sometime soon down the line here. So getting all that out of the way, I'm not really going to state that this is going to be a spoiler-free review, most for the fact that most of you or some of you are going to know this story and I'll let you know what I'm talking about here in a second. And basically, one of the reasons why I really enjoyed this film, and definitely one of the reasons why she probably won this award, is just the interesting take they do with this film. And what I mean by that is the film is taking a moment of time, a 24-hour period of the serial killer Ted Bundy. Many of you know his story. We've seen other horror movies done about him, documentaries, TV specials on him. Very well-known serial killer. And this one is different. This one is different for a couple of reasons. One is definitely, like I said, it is just in this 24-hour period. Two, they don't go out of the way to really acknowledge that it's him. If you're familiar with this story and so forth, you're going to know what's happening and what they're referencing in the moments of time that they're talking about here. If you're not, then you might just assume that this is any movie that they're just capturing a serial killer in this moment of time. They don't allude too much to what happened before this or after this. There's at the end of the film, there's a little bit of writing and before the credits roll, explaining who it is and so forth and a little bit about him. But during the film itself, it is not a full documentary. It is not covering his entire history and so forth. It is really just focused on this time, and not only just focused on this time. Again, it doesn't really go out of its way to say this is Ted Bundy. Look at Ted Bundy. This is what is. His name is mentioned a couple of times, and that's kind of the qualifying points to really tell you who they're talking about. But like I said, if you're not familiar with him, you would just think that this is some crazy guy, Ted. Which, and to some credit, some people complain that some serial killers like him are too glorified. And especially with movies like this, you're glorifying him and his name and so forth. I think that, this one almost kind of takes the reverse effect. Like, it's him. And yeah, truly at the end of the day, you are glorifying him by doing this, but you're just not putting too much emphasis on it being him. and which is interesting, or at least that's the way I viewed it. So, all that nonsense that I just said, getting that out of the way. Basically, as I said, he shows up. He's in Florida now, and he is trying to find his next victim. Who you can kind of see he has the urge. He needs to kill again. If you know his history, you know what's just happened and where he's come from. So you kind of know his state of mind. If not, I encourage you to do some research. I'm not going to go through his history for you either. But you kind of see that the little bit of desperation there and so forth, that he wants to kill, he needs to kill, and he needs to find his next target. So of course he's in Florida, he's around a sorority, so prime targets are everywhere, and you see a little bit of that in him, and early on in this film, it's going to take its time with him. You're going to see him kind of approach a couple of girls, try to strike a conversation. It's not going to go as well, obviously, back to it, trying to avoid going backwards with him, but his history, obviously at the beginning he obviously had some luck, but he's not finding it as easy, now here in this situation. You see him make a phone call or two, and I think it's in those phone calls early on or earlier on, that that's kind of where you also get a hint of who we're talking about here, in case you're not really sure, and maybe a little bit of hint of the situation he's coming from, and a hint at what he's trying to avoid and what he's done, without going throughout again the whole history of it. Just in those brief phone calls, you get kind of capturing that. The focus here is really on him in this situation. It's going to do an interesting thing or two where he is almost going to get trapped in his own mind. There's going to be a scene. I think there's a scene where he's outside the sorority. I think, or maybe he was in his car. I don't remember where he was specifically. But he's almost, taking it through his head, and you kind of see his obsession with the girls and with one of the girls, and it kind of, gets a little bit twisted and crazy in his dream. So, they're kind of taking you into the mind of the serial killer there, and his craziness and his obsessions and so forth. So, one of the things you're going to have to do is kind of be patient with it. They're not just going to dive right into him killing anybody or anything like that. They're just really going to set the stage. Again, if you know his history, you know what's about to happen, and you're just going to have to wait for it. You're just going to have to get a little bit into his mind, a little bit into not only his mind, but again, the situation, him trying to lure girls in, you see his desperation, you see him watching. You just kind of see the creepiness of him being a stalker. And then, one interesting thing is he's talking to a girl whose boyfriend is in another car and is basically saying, hey, come on. And you just kind of catch that desperation of him, being so out in the open there, trying to get her attention. There's no way that she's really going to go with him because her boyfriend is there yelling for her to get in the car, and is just being distracted by him. So you just see a couple of different interesting aspects and interesting angles there. I keep using the word interesting because it is, I guess the whole film is that way, because in capturing this moment. As horror fans, it is definitely going to get to the horror of the moment, and when we finally kind of get to past that framing of mind he's in and the situation he is in, we're going to get to that moment. If you're familiar with his history, when he goes into the sorority and starts trying to kill all these girls, they're going to take you through it. He's going to get in this sorority. He's going to get into several girls' rooms, and when he does, it is going to be brutal. They're not going to be short with it. They're not going to cut away. It's not, you see him climb in, you hear a girl scream, and then he moves to the next room. They're going to make you feel it. You're going to make you see it. And I thought that was another thing that I really liked here. That they really built up the emotion and stress, frustration, and shown everything mentally and things that he's going on, and then they let him let it out in that situation, and they let you as the audience, you went through all his frustrations there and saw what he was going through and what was in his mind, and then you saw him take it out. They didn't shortchange you there. They didn't just say oh, we're just going to do kills because he's a serial killer and that's what he does, and then we'll just end the film. No, they took you through what he was going through, and they also took you through him letting that out, and he lets it out, and he lets it out violently. And if you, like I said, if you know his story, you know what he did to several of those girls in the sorority there, and they don't shy away from any of that, and you're going to feel it, you're going to see it, and I'm really glad that they went through that. So while you're watching the beginning of the film, you might it might be like where are they going, it's not a lot of action. You're just kind of almost with him, you're sitting, you're stalking with him, and you're going through his mind, and that might work for you, might not work for some other people. But I think one of the things that as horror fans, obviously you want to get to those death scenes, you want to see that, and they're definitely going to bring you that to you, and definitely when you talk Ted Bundy, there's a lot of interesting mental aspects of him, which they touch in the beginning, but there's also there's what he's done, and the actual killings that he does. And some of the documentaries that you've watched on it, they don't show you that. That's not the point. They're more of telling his story, but they shy away from they might tell you what he did, but they don't actually show you. Here they're going to show you. They're going to show you what he did, and he's definitely brutal in it. And then it's going it's going to come to an end, and like I said, it's just that 24-hour period, and then that. So it's not that they're going to show you Ted's story from there on out. You're going to see what he does, and you're going to see the girls, the little bit of the aftermath of the girls and what just happened, and then that's basically the film. And then, like I said, at the end, they'll kind of wrap it up in the credits and kind of explain this is Ted Bundy, what he did, blah blah blah. In case you're not familiar, you don't know, blah blah. But before that, they're not going to go too far into everything that he's done and everything he's done to get to this point. So I thought it was a good way to go. Definitely taking a snapshot at his life, a brutal point, without diving into his entire history. If you guys are into serial killer movies and of the real, following real, not the other horror stuff that we watch all the time, but somebody who's real, a real killer. If you're interested in his story, whatever, I definitely think this is one to watch. I don't see why you wouldn't. And this just really captures, how brutal it was, and I thought they really nailed that down. So a lot of interesting stuff here, lots of stuff going on here, lots of stuff to like. Like I said, maybe the beginning might be a little slow for some, and you might not be into that, watching him kind of stalk. But if you really want to get to the horror of it, and you're really looking for horror, that at the end, that's kind of what it's going to be there for you. So like I said, I enjoyed it. I think it's really good. She did an excellent job. Lots of good acting in the movie as well. He's definitely creepy. I forgot. Let me see if I can find him here. Who plays him? Jeremy London is who plays. Is it him that plays him? Hopefully I got that right. He plays him. He does a really good job. Regardless of whatever. He does a really good job. Definitely bring Ted. Ted's a creepy character. Definitely, there's a scene where he goes in the bar and it's just extra creepy there, and extra desperate there. So you definitely see the anger and frustration, bro. So I think they did a really good job of just capturing this moment of time, and just kind of, when you see in regular horror movies, you just kind of see, the killer just kind of appears and kills. And sometimes they may show you why, or at the end of the movie, they'll tell you why they're so mad and why they want to kill and blah, blah. But, we know who he is and whatever. So, they show his frustration and then they show the release. I guess that's the best way to say it. And they capture both really well and do a really good job here. So all that mumbling and whatever, I'm going to give it 4 pools of blood. Definitely worth seeing. Definitely if you're into following, serial killers, Ted Bundy's story and whatever, definitely worth the watch. And like I said, hopefully you guys get to see it real soon. And if you guys are out and about at festivals, hopefully it'll be at one coming to a festival near you as well. If not, just gonna have to wait for it. But I'm sure everybody will get a chance to see it real soon. And of course, if I find out news of its release or being here and there, I would definitely share that with you guys as well. So 4 pools of blood again, and that is out of 5. And horror_reviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all my reviews, written and video. Definitely more video ones recently. So like, subscribe, do all those things that everybody wants you to do. If not, no worries. Definitely check out the shorts if you do. Trying to have some fun there, and also keeping you guys informed along the way as well. Facebook, Twitter, down below as well. Reach out to me, talk about this movie if you get to eventually see it. If you have something you want me to watch, reach out for me there. And in the comment section, comment when you eventually get to see this. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe other Ted Bundy stories that are movies, documentaries, whatever that you guys like. That should be anybody should see. Throw it in there as well. And with that, I guess I will catch you on the next review of Horror Fans.